honestly I'm not like, I always have an agenda, I just have a presentation, but again, I'm diverging in my own practice, so I just showed up today. And so I thank you for showing up. I just wanted to give you a little bit of background. So I think it was maybe 3 years ago, I applied for this grant that's given by the Provost Office, Creative Campus. So if you've never heard of it, I would highly recommend that you look into the call. And I was a creative scholar in residence that year, and I actually visited the School of Dance for 2 semesters. And it was one of the best years, if not the best year of my life on UF campus. And coming back, I just couldn't be the regular engineering professor that I used to be a year ago. Because what I realized is it's only a building away, but the way you teach, and they did research in the college, well, when I say College of the Arts, my experience is more confined to School of Dance. But the way they do research, the way they teach, is so fundamentally different than the way we teach and do research in engineering. I just try to see if there are any ways to sort of create sort of a common language maybe, and sort of transfer some of what we do to them, and transfer some of what I've learned there to College of Engineering. And the reason why I believe it's so important is I believe that knowledge is indivisible. So I don't agree that engineering claims these resources, this knowledge field as their own, and the arts claim another area as theirs. I think any advances that's made in engineering could have an impact in any of the arts, and similarly, any of the advances or research or new ideas that come forward in the arts could have an impact on engineering and science. So I'm just trying to maybe open people's minds in engineering to the ways of thinking and doing in College of the Arts. And I've been very lucky that my leadership has been very supportive. Basically, I say this every time, I cannot believe that they let me play every semester, because that's how I feel. Honestly, we meet once a week for 3 hours, and it's like kindergarten at the college level. Because it's just, I'm pushing them to try these things that they've never experienced before. And they try to use their engineering foundation because it's an engineering class, but they quickly realize it doesn't work. Because there is not a product that I'm asking to design, there is not a right solution for them to find out, but they just have to sort of experiment, explore the process, and maybe come sort of be in agreement with that, okay, there might be multiple answers, or everyone's answer could be different, and that's okay. So that's what I'm trying to do. And to develop in a way the tools that I have been using, it's basically for the past 3 years, I'm taking dance classes, art workshop, cartooning workshop, any sort of field that further it's away from engineering, the more attractive it becomes. And I just show up. And the way I struggle when I'm learning in those classes actually give me a way how a typical engineering student would struggle if introduced to that new field. And that's the way I'm trying to make the connection. So just to sort of demonstrate a little bit to you what I do in my class, this is one of the fast sketching exercises that we do. I actually learned it in a cartooning workshop, and I've been doing it every semester since then. So everyone has sheet, and you can have multiple sheets, or you can make the sketches on the same sheet, sort of just moving around the same sheet. But what's going to happen next is I'm going to project the photograph on the screen for 20 seconds exactly. And you will have 20 more seconds to make a quick sketch. And after that, the new one will come up. And we have 18 such photographs.
Yeah, that was actually helpful for me. I think if they had been, sort of more typical, they would have been harder, because I would have been more focused on details. And I found immediately I had to say, okay, this is not about how good of a sketcher or drawer I am, because I'm not a good, I can't do that very well. So I had to give that up right away. Mm-hmm. And then it was a matter of saying, okay, so what's the point of this picture? What's this about? What? And so can I capture something of that will, I don't know, convey. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if there was enough time really to sort of get anything more than a quick impression of what the essence of the picture was. I mean, to say that I captured the essence would be a little superficial, but I had to get something I could hold on to, and then just let everything else go.
Well, I probably have a different perspective, in that I think it's like what I do all the time, because I don't sketch. I've never had an art class. It's far, far from my world. But I deal with big data all the time, and the problem with big data is that you've got all this stuff here, and there are a jillion different patterns that you can come up with, and you need to quickly look and see. I mean, each one of those had many patterns in it, and so which pattern are you going to look at? And you have to follow that pattern and not get distracted with all the other parts. And you know, if you'd done it the second time around, in other words, if you'd shown me this pictures again.
I do that in class.
Oh, do you?
And I bring it down to 15 seconds, yeah.
Then I probably would have drawn something different, because I would have looked for a different pattern in that picture.
A lot of the things you already said, sort of the message that I'm trying to communicate. For example, yes, it is true, there's so much data, like when you're trying to solve an engineering problem or engineering design problem, there is maybe a few critical variables that you really have to focus on. So you really can you look at something, see the big picture, but then sort of identify the distinguishing features and emphasize them. And it's just a sort of a metaphor. I mean, it's not a metaphor, it's exactly that. I'm just asking them not to do it in an engineering application, but in an art-related exercise. And actually, I sometimes ask my students, they say, oh, my heart started racing, because they're engineering students, like they start to get more competitive and they can't draw, they get frustrated. So there's almost this visceral, and you see it in them. But then over time, they be like, okay, and another thing is like they have to sometimes become very fast thinkers and fast decision makers. So you look at that photograph for 20 seconds. Within those 20 seconds, you have to decide also which details are you going to look at more closely and which ones you're going to put it on the paper. So it just sort of works at many levels, and at the end they always end up, oh, this is so much fun. I mean, there's always that sort of fun factor. And so I try different things over time. Sometimes they ask me, why do we do this, or why is this engineering? And if they don't ask, I don't necessarily make the connection for them, because that way it leaves, I guess, a broader, it leaves much more space to each individual to get from the class what they want to get. And maybe it's not going to immediately apply to their engineering practice within the next couple of years, but maybe 15, 20 years. I mean, it's just going to help them sort of be more resilient, or when exposed to a new problem or a new area, to be able to sort of navigate through it with the skills they have. So, I mean, they do this, we smell things, we taste cheese, we do some improv exercises from theater. I use some of the processes I learned in dance so that they actually create dance phrases and I put them into choreographies. But then the core, my message is to think differently, you have to act differently. So I force them, I shouldn't say force, but I invite and encourage them to do things that they've never done before. For example, one of the activities that I have, throughout the semester they have to go see theater performances, dance performances. And it's interesting, the first time they go there with their engineering mind, it's so overwhelming, this is so abstract, I don't know what's going on. But then we talk about phrase development, we talk about choreography, and then they go and all of a sudden, oh, that is a dance phrase, and that's how they kept repeating, and that was the message. So to me, in a way, I think I'm contributing to social capital, in a way, because if these engineers, I mean, if they have no experience with art or, with humanities in their undergraduate education, it might be made more difficult for them to pick them up later on. So, but then the earlier maybe they can make those connections themselves, I'm hoping it'll sort of translate. I mean, with generations down, it's just they're at least more excited about it, or it's not something too abstract for them anymore. It's something they can find something with their engineering mind to sort of analyze or see or make sense of.